Good evening, Lizzie boys, and welcome back to my channel. Yesterday I made a video talking about some G3 prototypes, and I tried to go over, to the best of my ability based on what we know, the sort of process that we know of for the designs of each character in G3. I don't know if saying that was redundant. I'm not feeling the best today, so if I come off way more rambly than usual, that's why. Basically, I wanted to go over the characters that I did not touch on yesterday. I've gathered basically all the concept art that is currently publicly available. So yeah, obviously some things are going to be missed. There's probably quite a lot of prototypes that have yet to be revealed, and we may never get to see them. So I'll just go over what we've got. I find this to be an interesting topic, so let's get into it. Yesterday I went over characters like Draculaura as well as Frankie. We talked about some other characters as well, like Blue Lagoona and Blue Lagoona again, but today I wanted to talk about some more characters. Clawdeen, despite being the main character of G3, has to be the character that we know the least about her design process, which is alarming. Again, we've got plenty of concept arts for Frankie looking vastly different from how their final doll ended up turning out. Meanwhile, with Clawdeen, it kind of seems like they always had the same idea for how she was going to look. The earliest prototype we know of comes from this image, the best ghoul friends image, as I like to call it. We have yet to see this Clawdeen in full. As far as I know, we've gotten to see Frankie and Draculaura full body, but we have not gotten to see this Clawdeen in full. But even then, the only thing about her that seems to be different, other than the face sculpt, which is consistent across all three wear sport completely different face sculpts from their final product. The only thing different about Clawdeen is that she's got this big jacket that she did not come with in the final release. It's very interesting. Again, it's interesting to me how similar this doll is to how the final doll turned out. This prototype was first revealed in the little circular headshot that was posted by the director of the live-action movie, the live-action Monster High movie that came out in 2022, I want to say. I think it was 2022. To be honest, I don't remember when it came out. But that was when we first saw this prototype. There does exist a full version of this image that I'll show later, where you can see the rest of Clawdeen's outfit and such, but I wanted to include this image, even though it's all the same doll 3 times, because it is 3 separate instances of the same doll, 3 different images, technically. This seems to be just how Clawdeen has always looked. Again, aside from this prototype, this is the other oldest one that we had seen. These are the 2 oldest Clawdeen prototypes. So it doesn't seem like much was ever done with her design, to be honest, although some concept arts say otherwise. The next prototype are the Coffin Bean prototypes. It's believed that these 2 may be the same doll, because their faces look pretty similar, I would say. So yeah, once again, it seems like Clawdeen's design was always pretty identical. She has the same belt and jewelry in this photo, it's just photoshopped on. The photo of the doll in real life does not have the jewelry, presumably because the sculpts were not yet done, but obviously they were finalized and they went with them anyway. There are some known prototype, technically more like concept art, sketches done by the artist Anna Cattish that feature Clawdeen having a tail, and it seems like she was always just kind of not very good at dressing herself in G3, because if I'm being honest, the fashion here is not great. I'm assuming this was probably Mattel telling the artist how to dress her, the kind of general style they wanted her to have, because in this artwork it's more of the same. The outfit's just not very good, though it should be noted that her hairstyle here is very, very similar, just basically missing the top knot, to what we would end up with. So once again, it seems like they had an idea of what Clawdeen was supposed to look like in this generation in their heads from the start. Because, again, it's the same hairstyle. It's basically the same hairstyle. It's very similar. I even think she came with a similar jacket, similar vest on her, fashion studio doll. I don't know, it just seems like there was a lot about Clawdeen that was ironed out from the beginning in this generation, compared to characters like Frankie, who, would you look at that? That's another concept art that I didn't cover yesterday. Frankie went through a lot of design changes. This would have been an interesting direction for them to go in. It seems like Cleo, at this point in development, which, again, this is the earliest doll prototype that we know of, but she looks pretty similar to the final product face-wise and hair-wise. It seems like they had a few things that they were certain about with Cleo. So we have a concept art in the middle and two different versions of the doll. Once again, the one on the left is photo edited to look more like the concept art that I believe they were going with at the time, compared to the doll on the right, who was the actual, like, real life version of what the doll looked like, if that makes sense. Basically, the photo on the right was an actual photo taken of the doll in her actual state, whereas the doll on the left is photo edited, once again, like photoshopped to have different prints as well as some color changes to her outfit and her hair, seemingly, because they made her hair much more blue in the edit compared to it being more black in the actual image. So we don't know much about this Cleo prototype, just that she seems to have been made pretty late into development, because similar to the Clawdeen that we first discussed, not the one with the coat, the one that once again looked very similar to her final product. This one, I'm talking about this one. Similar to that Clawdeen, this Cleo was also used as a reference for the live-action movie's styling, so it seems like this is what they were going to go with at one point, but ended up changing their minds last minute, and that's where the coffin bean prototype comes from. So this is basically the finalized doll, just with a slightly different face. The final doll's face looks much more akin to this prototype than this one, interestingly enough. It should also be noted that Cleo's leg is unpainted in this picture. It's white. Her leg is just white for some reason. I've always found that funny. Similar to Clawdeen, there are some concept arts that were once again done by the artist Anna Cattish, and you can see Cleo looks very different from how she would end up looking. To be honest, I don't like either of these designs that much. I feel like the one on the left is giving Cleopatra just a bit too much. It's a bit too heavy-handed, and the one on the right, she looks like she belongs in a marching band. I don't know, I'm just not crazy about these two. There is also the white Cleo artwork that I talked about yesterday that seems to have in some way inspired this prototype. She's got a very similar headband as well as the shoes being exactly the same. Like, it's the same gold base with the snake wrapped around the foot as a heel. So, yeah, I think it's kind of safe to assume that this and this go hand in hand. It looks like they took inspiration from this artwork to create the concept art in the middle and thus create the doll prototype version of it. I wanted to talk about Toralei too, just because she's my favorite character, and I'll take any excuse to talk about her that I can, but unfortunately we don't know much about her development. There's only a couple concept arts of her that exist online, and only one prototype doll aside from the one that was used in her stock photos. Now, I actually own my own G3 Toralei prototype, but she's more of a factory sample with a hand-painted body rather than, like, a different version of the doll from what we ended up with. She's basically the same, but her hair was styled at the factory, her body's hand-painted, her accessories are hand-painted, and her face is slightly different from the final product. Overall, nothing to really mention in this video, I just wanted to flex on you guys. I'm assuming the artwork by Anna Cattish is probably one of the oldest G3 artworks. I could be wrong, I don't actually know for sure, but I do know that this is the artwork that was allegedly traced for her original box art. So it looks like Toralei always had the same design. It looks like she was always going to have the red jacket, she was always going to have the cat face on her white shirt with the cat scratch choker, and the skirt with that very specific, like, grid with scratch marks all over it pattern. Very interesting. She also has this artwork concept that was done probably for the show, based on the way the legs look, I would say. And she does look a bit different here. Her shirt is yellow, she's got a silver, like, paw print shaped earring that she obviously did not end up with, as well as more stripes on her legs and on her tail than what we would see in the final product. Then we have the artwork by Oliver Kay, who I believe was the finalized design for Toralei here. This is basically what the doll ended up looking like. They just cut the black streaks and did not do all the cuts in her jacket. Instead, they opted to just print some little purple things on it that get lost, frankly. I can barely see them. So these are all the known concepts of Toralei, basically. I sometimes wish this prototype doll would surface online somewhere. Allegedly, the reason Toralei ended up being changed from this concept, like, being given her orange skin tone again and losing the black streaks, and I believe gaining a different screening, because this one seems to have a side glance, unless I'm completely delusional and imagining things, but I think she has a side glance. Allegedly, the reason those things were changed was because kids were scared of her, and you know, I gotta say, kids need to toughen the fuck up. This doll would have been gorgeous. I'm not a fan of the yellow skin tone, though. I'm definitely glad that we ended up with the orange that she's known for. But I do like a lot of aspects of this doll. For example, her having way more stripes on her body. You can see that she has them on her outer thighs, as well as on both of her legs, rather than just one of her calves. She also had a dark tip on her tail. I don't know how I feel about that one. I just feel like it should be stripes on her tail rather than like a little dark ombre tip. So, not crazy about that one. But I do think there were some aspects of this doll that worked. And hey, look, she's got real socks. Unlike the final doll who has them just kind of sculpted on there. I always thought that was a bit lazy. As much as I do love Toralei, I can admit some of the design choices made with her are just a tad lazy. But yeah, if anyone ever sees this prototype for sale, you better contact me immediately, because who better to own her than me, her #1 fan? So Lagoona is another kind of difficult one to talk about because we don't know that much about her development, but regardless, I want to give it a shot. So we know that Lagoona was going to be blue at one point, but similar to Toralei, the kids were scared of the way she looked, or maybe just didn't gravitate towards her. I don't know if they were scared. I've heard that they were scared, but that could be wrong. I think what happened was that kids just didn't really care about Lagoona, most likely. And they saw that and they were like, all right, let's make her pink. Because they probably loved Draculaura, who is pink, and that's probably the message they took away from that. They're like, oh, we need to make Lagoona pink. I don't know why I'm saying this like it's a bad thing. I love Pink Lagoona. I'm a huge fan of her. Similar to the other characters, Lagoona does also have some concept art that was done by Cattish as well, and it's interesting to note how much pink is used in these concept arts considering the doll was going to be blue-skinned. It almost seems like they looked at these concept arts again and were like, wait, what if we made her pink? You know? I don't know, I'm just kind of saying stuff. There's no way to substantiate that claim. But similar to the other characters, it's interesting to me how similar these artworks ended up being to the final product. Like, it seems like they barely changed Lagoona's outfit. So, I don't know. Maybe Anna's artwork was based on what the doll was supposed to look like. They're like, hey, this is the outfit we're going with. Have fun with the rest of the stuff, though. I really don't know. But Lagoona's doll did end up being pretty similar to her final doll. Kinda. Okay, not really. It's more so that the the general silhouette stayed the same, but they changed the hoodie to be all pink. Her shorts became like this kind of like a bunch of different colors. I don't know how to describe it. I don't know the word I'm looking for. Her bikini became a one-piece. Her squid heels became the ugliest shoes in G3 history. I hate Lagoona's basic shoes. But yeah, basically, I just think Lagoona is an interesting case because her model for the show looks exactly like this, but with pink skin instead. And of course, the blue ombre legs. And they also gave her the hands in the show, which looks so much cooler. I really wish that she had gotten to keep that on the doll. But, I digress. Basically, it makes you wonder how, like, late into production the change to make Lagoona pink really happened, because it really seems like they were ready to go with everything with her being blue. I don't know. I do think the blue washes her out, and it makes me happier that Lagoona ended up being pink. Plus, I feel like it really helps separate G3 from G1. A lot of people want G3 to be just like G1, but I feel like that takes away the point of a new generation. Like, I don't know. That's how I see it. I'd rather them have fun with it, as long as it's not something lazy and soulless like G2 was. So yeah, that's about everything that I wanted to go over. It's kind of hard to talk about some of these characters and their incarnations of prototypes because we don't know that much. Like, the characters we have the most for are Frankie and Draculaura, and I mean, no surprise there. I'd say those two are probably the most popular in terms of sales, although Clawdeen is just as popular, so it's still strange to me that we don't know that much about her development. I'm hoping some more stuff leaks soon, like, or maybe the designers can post it themselves or something. I don't know. I would like that. I would really like to see more of the design process for G3 Clawdeen, because I feel like we don't know that much. Everything we've seen just kind of is like, oh, she always looked like this. And it's like, really? You guys just got it right the first time? I want to see some fuck-ups. I want to see some designs that didn't make it off the cutting room floor, you know? Not that they would be fuck-ups. I don't know why I described it like that. I don't know. I'm not feeling well. I need to go lie down. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you in my next one. Bye!